Welcome. My name is Christopher Peter. There is nothing like a sports weekend in Philadelphia when our Eagles are playing and the Phillies are competing in the playoffs, especially when we are able to win all the games during those 2 days. Not so much when they do not. The great Philly sports weekend started off good with an early lead by our Philadelphia Phillies against the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. There is always a factor of rust when waiting out the wildcard rounds, but obviously, the other 3 teams with the bye are not having the same effect. The Dodgers are a team that does turn up their play in the postseason. Last year, the Dodgers were good, but you could potentially see a path for teams like the Phillies or the Mets to navigate past them. When the games were actually played, it was clear that they play much better in the postseason than they do in the regular season. The Phillies raced out to an early lead only to give it back. Then the Dodgers raced out to a 4-run lead in Game 2 and held on to take a 2-0 lead back to Los Angeles, putting Red October in Philly into another potential one-round-and-done situation. But there is always the potential for a comeback. And the Philly faithful do not back down, even when we hold our own accountable. There is a reality that for some reason, we do not handle the bye well. Our recent run to the World Series and the National League Championship Series was as a wild card. The comeback we experienced on Sunday was not the one that we ever want to see again. My Philadelphia Eagles had a 2-touchdown lead in the second half and let the Broncos score on 3 consecutive drives and erase the deficit for a 5-point win. A win so significant that they stupidly wanted to drive through Philly. There is no denying that the Eagles have to do something about their offensive struggles. The offense is highly inconsistent, despite having more success passing this past week. Yet, they went completely to the other side of the extreme, losing their balance on offense. As a fan, I would hope the Eagles could score on every drive, win every game by a comfortable margin, and just stack Lombardi trophies like people do canned goods. But that is not realistic and not really sustainable given the physical toll and competitive balance of the game. The more rational expectation is that Eagles find a way to be more consistent and sustainable. It just seems like their brand of football is once again so taxing just to gain positive yards. At least our defense is playing at a consistent level for the most part, but the offense is mostly scrapping by with an occasional burst. Gone is their ability to drain significant time off the clock to shorten games. Gone are the days where the run opens up the pass and we pass enough to create space for the run. We are a run-dominant team and we should not be apologetic about that. But we need to be able to mix in passes using our stars. As Doug Peterson used to say, we need to be multiple. Some people say it is not the scheme or the play calling, but others disagree. Multiple things can be wrong at the same time. Players may not be executing the plays consistently. Kevin Patchello may not be calling plays consistently that provide Hurts and the offense enough options to exploit the defensive play faced. Are we adjusting well enough after the scripts are depleted? Maybe not. That is something fair to question when former players are questioning the routes run by our start receivers and the lack of production from the running game. The same formula was not going to work after winning last year, but we should be able to innovate into what is the next iteration of the Eagles offense. It is easier to panic when things seem off at the beginning. But the real focus needs to be on identifying what works and what does not, and building consistency around your strengths and mitigating weaknesses by avoiding the situations that make you susceptible to the consequences of those weaknesses. Be more creative to get a solid 5 yards on first down. Therefore you can be more effective running the ball and not fall into the obvious throwing situations on third down. There are no longer any undefeated teams in the league right now. The Eagles fell to the Broncos and then the Buffalo Bills capped on a disappointing Sunday by losing to the New England Patriots to end the last undefeated campaign remaining. But there have not been any undefeated Super Bowl champions in a very long time, and the goal is to simply win a Super Bowl championship. I think it was a great feat and was held onto by the annual toast by that Dolphins team, but the season is so much longer now. And just too much parity. The week opened up with the San Francisco 49ers facing the Los Angeles Rams in L.A. The betting odds had the Rams favored by 8.5 points on game day. Given all the news around injuries, it seemed like a no-brainer to believe the Rams would easily win. They did not. In fact, the Niners pretty much dominated much of that game. Despite the injuries and playing with their backup, the Niners moved through the Rams' defense at will for most of the game. The Rams came back to bring the game to overtime, but lost in the end. The Browns are firmly committing to their rookies as they gave Dillon Gabriel his first start and now traded away the Joe Flacco. Finally, time to see what their future may hold and see which one of the two actually has what it takes to lead this franchise. The Colts continue to dominate their opponents at home. They have revived Daniel Jones's career and have Jonathan Taylor back to running with purpose again, while the Raiders seem like they are set to once again restart their franchise this offseason. Or at least they should be. The Colts are taking almost complete control of the division. They share the lead with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who stunned Kansas City at home in Jacksonville. The Chiefs are clearly a shell of their former selves right now, but I do not think many people took Jacksonville as seriously as maybe they should have. I thought maybe the Jets could claim a victory against a team that has not played well on the road, like many games this weekend. I was wrong. The Cowboys made easy work of the New York Jets, and the Jets fans seemed to be unsettled on whether Aaron Glenn was the right choice. After firing a returner in the first week for a muffed kick, it would be pretty hard to fire the rest of the players who continue to make mistakes. The Tennessee Titans finally experienced victory with a new quarterback in Cam Ward, in a game where another player dropped the football before crossing the goal line. That is literally the most inexcusable play a person could make. Why drop the ball at all? You worked that hard to make a careless mistake that took points off the board. The Baltimore Ravens are certainly not where they thought they would be at this point in the season, tied for last place in their division. With many injuries to key players, they have lost every big matchup this season and allowed the Texans to destroy them at home. On the other hand, the Texans have given themselves a chance by winning their last 2 games. The Tampa Bay Bucks have been an exciting team under Baker Mayfield. All he does is win games at the end. The Bucks went into Seattle and won on a game-ending field goal. They were the only pick that won for me in Week 5. The Chargers have dropped their last 2 games after starting off the season with 3 division wins. Luckily for them, their division mates have struggled early as well. Now, they are tied with the Broncos for the division lead with the Chiefs a game back. I am sure the Miami Dolphins are wishing their season would end sooner than later because they just simply are struggling to close games and play good football. They have lost their star wideout to a gruesome injury and may only beat the Jets this season. The Lions continue to extend their division lead with a win over the Bengals. The Packers had the week off to make sense of their tie with the Cowboys. The Steelers had an early bye for such a veteran-laden team. Although the Eagles and Bills join the land of teams with losses, I'm not really worried that it could be endemic for either team. Both have talented rosters and raise their play when facing tough opponents, simply lost winnable games. The only team truly in trouble is the Baltimore Ravens because of poor play combined with serious injuries to key players. They need to fix their defense while one of their best linemen is done for the season. Not an easy task. The Packers have lost their luster a bit with a loss to the Cleveland Browns and then a tie to the Dallas Cowboys. They were early contenders and got ahead of themselves by speaking of an undefeated season. Since then, they have lost their division lead and need to find the stride. Now, after picking 4 correct picks out of the 5 weekly games, I struggled last week with only seeing the Bucks experience victory. I will try to do better in Week 6. The San Francisco 49ers will travel to Tampa Bay to face the Bucks. The Niners have not lost on the road. If the Bucks are healthy, they probably have more explosive players than the Niners right now, and playing in the Florida Heat should help them. I will take the Bucks at home. The Chiefs will host the Detroit Lions at Arrowhead. You are what your record says you are, but the Chiefs have talent that is better than your average 2-3 team. But the Lions have done well this season on the road, minus opening week. I will take the Lions to beat the Chiefs again on the road. The Seattle Seahawks are only a game back in the West and will travel across the country to play the Jaguars. The Seahawks have not lost on the road and the Jags have not lost at home. I feel the data points to Seattle, but traveling across the nation probably does not help. I will take the Jaguars to win at home. The Buffalo Bills end the Week 6 schedule by traveling to Atlanta for a matchup against the Falcons. This is a game that the Bills should win, but they seem to lose a game like this every season, where the opponent is just talented enough to pull off the upset. But maybe not this week. The Bills on the road. The Titans face the Raiders in a battle of 1-win teams. Not a game I would want to pick, but this is an interesting game to see which team really can turn their season around for the moment. The Titans are in the midst of a restart with a new quarterback. The Raiders are going through a complete rebuild. Neither team is seeing real progress yet. The Raiders at home should help them. I will go with the Raiders. There is nothing more unifying in American society than sports. Regardless of your background, economic circumstance, education level, or other demographics, there is a connection around the sports teams that you support. No prerequisites other than cheering and sometimes booing a team that you want to see succeed. The economics of running a business effectively and efficiently can run afoul of the nature of sports and create barriers to the fans, as the business side of the sport forces teams to maximize profits, in order to compensate players, cover expenses related to operations of stadiums or arenas, market the leagues, or grow the sport globally. And this can impact the connection with the fan base. Many question the economic effect attending a football game is on the average American family. For many people, the costs of tickets, parking, and concessions make it too expensive to take the family out for every game, also factoring the non-financial cost of navigating crowds and the weather. Now, on the other hand, we never see a stadium or arena empty, unless the team is underperforming or does not do enough to connect and foster a relationship with its fan base. There are always customers able and willing to pay the increasing prices, and teams and player associations all too eager to accept that money. From a fan perspective or average person, there is concern about the costs surrounding sports. The increase in cost for watching at home has risen, as well as television markets have been disrupted in a manner that made screen time more expensive than traditional cable if you maintain the same access. So, the cost of sports either in person or on the couch can rile up some concerns. That is a valid concern. Sports is a business built around the broadest segments of our economic customers. Those attending in person provide gate revenue, but the bulk of the business deals are built around the television audience, which continues to grow despite shifting to streaming over traditional network coverage. On the business side, there is a cost to the continual improvement of the sport and the viewer experience. The increase in technology and implementation of that technology comes at an expense. The reality of life from an economic perspective is that there is always a cost to address. Nothing in life is free, and if you receive it, you should pay for it. The economist in me does see the need to align revenues with the cost of providing the improved entertainment experience. As long as the quality of product or service increases, then the increased cost can be justified to the masses. Because they receive greater benefits, there is a need for them to pay a bit more for that benefit. Now, the question will always arise of whether the benefit is proportional to the cost. That can be very subjective. There are people that will obsess on one factor or the other. Some people want more for less and will always view it as greed. Others will value enhanced experiences and view paying more being worth it because they would be willing to pay more for it. Now, consumers may not be able to fit the cost of attending every game into their budget, considering the inflation we experienced following the pandemic, but there is still some room for those that value that experience. For others, the experience of watching the game at home with friends or at a local sports establishment is just as fulfilling and more comfortable. For many of the sports leagues, they still have to room in their markets to grow. In the market for sports entertainment, it seems like the cost increases are starting to impact the perceived quality of the product. So they may be close to market saturation or growing too fast, despite the new influx of interest. Keep in mind, when the market leader grows and expands the industry, that growth fuels opportunities for everyone in that market space. So, competitors can exist without having to challenge the leader directly. So growth is good for everyone. Sports is the ultimate meritocracy. The harder you work and the more you achieve, the better outcomes you experience. That is ideally what American society and our economy should be. Merit should determine outcomes. People should not fear the challenge of plotting their own path in life and demonstrating your worth to the world. If you cannot defend your value, then why should anyone view you as a better fit than anyone else? Differentiating ourselves and showing our worth can be challenging, but something we should be willing to do. We must accept that people are created equal, but it is what we do in life that makes us different. We are all unique and should be valued based on what we contribute and accomplish. Sure, people should receive the basic level of kindness and respect. We are all human. But I do think people should benefit from actually doing more than others. Many people operate out of the blindness caused by jealousy. They see the different outcomes and downplay the efforts of that person because it makes them feel better about themselves. Yet, they will never accept the fact that they could have accomplished the same if they worked harder to find similar opportunities, marketed themselves more effectively, and had the same level of perseverance. We do not always see how success is made, but people should not fill in the gaps. Rather, find how to match your skills and interests with opportunity and pursue success with everything you have. Do not let early obstacles stop you. Sometimes the reason why a person is more successful than you is simply because they did not stop where you gave up. They found a solution where you gave up. But maybe that path was not for you. Maybe you need to find that path that will make you not want to ever give up. There are too many voices that speak about empowering people but call for dependency. If you want to have ownership and equity in anything in life, you need to be able to build something from your hard work, ambition, and innovation. Create opportunities, endlessly improve, and know your value. People generally do not give you what you do not earn. Demonstrate your proven value and market it to the right audiences and connect with the right people. Never settle and always seek growth, learning, and innovation.
The fear that many sports fans have is that the games their teams lose, or they were favored to win, will be the deciding game that will impact playoff seeding or access to it. In life or sports, you never really want to look back and see moments that created the consequences that you are currently facing. The opportunities missed in life can create obstacles later on if you are unable to make up for them, course correct, or create new ones. How many people look back on their jobs and feel if they only handled this situation better or communicated differently, then they would be better off? Or they see a moment and are thankful they choose the action they did because it made all the difference. We want fairness in life but not equal treatment. We want fair playing fields but to be treated based on our accomplishments in regard to economic outcomes. If we work harder than others, then we should be paid better. If we create more opportunity and value, then we should reap the benefits that we helped create. Thank you for experiencing this episode of the Christopher Peter Podcast, part of the Christopher Peter Review. Your viewership is appreciated and valued. Please follow the Christopher Peter Review on social media and continue to visit www.crcreview.com for new episodes of the Christopher Peter Podcast and the CRC. Thank you once again. Until next time.